The New Zealand Gaming Championships League of Legends Premiership is presented by Let's Play Live, Australasia's new home of eSports at letsplay.live. Logitech G, bringing you winning gaming devices, mice, keyboards, headsets and controllers. Game with passion, win with science. Logitech G. Twitch, the world's leading social video platform and community for gamers. Twitch.tv. The NZGC is powered by Playtech. Technology at play. Playtech is the #1 custom PC system builder in New Zealand. Visit playtech.co.nz. And all our fantastic technology and media partners. Now, let the gaming begin.
Tonight, the big one. The major semi-final in the form of King 5 up against Villains. Last year's champions up against the reigning champs in the NZGC. Good evening and welcome to Sky Sports' exclusive broadcast of the New Zealand Gaming Championships 2016. We have got through the round robin stages and we are at the business end of the tournament. We have the major semi-final. We have #1 in the form of King 5 up against last year's champions and the #2 seed being Villains. And this is absolutely huge. My name is Dwan. Welcome wherever you may be tuned into this broadcast. Alongside me in the form of Cam Crunch Russell and also Jonathan Arcadian Jansen. Gentlemen, I'm excited. This is huge. We haven't seen this before. It is a major semi-final, 1 versus 2. This is huge.
Oh, the Kings are out to take that Villains throne. It's going to be a good one.
Yes, but there is a lot on the line for everybody at home. We talk about one team will go directly to the grand final at the Idea Collective in 2 weeks' time. So obviously they want to win. The other team, it is a bumpy road for them.
Yeah, you've got Too Easy and Tiger Eye fighting out. They're hot on your heels. They're such great teams, and it's going to be a very bumpy road for whoever has to take them on.
That's right, but it is very, very tight. I can't pick it at this stage, but look, let's catch up with Laurie Pops, who will inform us about League of Legends, and it is Know the Game.
Hi guys, this is Laurie Pops and I'm here to help you know the game. As in any sport, players in League of Legends have specific roles to play. ADC, aka the attack damage carry, is a ranged gunner who has potential to output massive damage, but at the cost of being easy to kill if caught off guard. They focus on killing minions to get items which power them up and allow them to shred through enemies and towers faster, meaning they need to be protected by their team and aware of deadly enemies to do their job. The support is the protector and babysitter of the AD carry until they have enough items to fight effectively. They do not deal much damage, so their focus is on enabling their team with protection, enhancement, or the disabling of enemies. Support also provides sight into the enemy territory, scouting their movements across the map. Mid is where the magic happens, literally. Spell-based wizards and assassins are used here to quickly bust down targets, such as the AD carry. Their abilities do have a downtime, so they need to be used wisely. Their placement in the middle of the map allows them to easily maneuver, aiding allies with their high damage. The jungler runs in the area between the lanes, which is covered in shadow, killing monsters for gold and surprising unsuspecting enemies. They are free to move around the map to support teammates and create advantages. Their decisions guide a team to push and secure key objectives on the map. The top lane consists of champions with high defense or disruptive abilities, making them a great front line for the team. As they are far away from the early action of the bottom lane, they use teleport to join their teams in times of need. They can also draw multiple enemies to the top side, distracting them from focusing on vulnerable members and other areas of the map. So there you have it, different roles for different players. Which champions will win? We'll find out later tonight. This is Laurie Pops signing out.
Yes, thank you very much, Laurie Pop. So for everybody that is at home that is new to esports or competitive video gaming, the game of choice is League of Legends. It's played by 100 million players worldwide. And I'm going to say this, esports is a sport.
Oh, absolutely. But I think we can all agree it's not like any other sport we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. It's because League of Legends is unique in the fact that it grabs from all these other sports. You've got the reaction time in Major League Baseball. You've got the spatial awareness of rugby, the patience of football. It's just a collection, a mind game of chess. It's a collection of all these fantastic sports. And it's obvious why there's 100 million people worldwide playing this game, and it got more views than the NBA final. It's a huge success.
It is a huge success. So it's great to have everybody who obviously knows the game, but also that is new to esports. It is massive, like you said. It is a sport. And look, we're going to see two of the very best teams at it very, very shortly. And I want to break it down a little bit more, because let's talk about the teams. I want to come to you, Crunch. Let's talk about King 5. Minor Premiers haven't dropped a game since game 1, I believe. Excellent across the rift.
Yeah, King 5, such an appropriate name. All 5 players have stepped up and been able to carry their team at different times. So solid across the board. They don't really have a glaring weakness, which is why it is their strength.
That's right. But look, Villains are last year's champions, and they're 10-time LAN tournament champions. These guys are experienced, they're class, and they have Dolphs leading them. But the one thing I want to pick up on is the fact that since week 1 we saw them in the Hexedome, they changed one of their players in the roster. Is that going to impact them tonight?
I think so, but I'm not sure it's going to be in a negative way. I mean, it just goes to show the experience and the courage that they've got to be able to take something that wasn't working in their team, identify it, and change it. And that could be the very reason they walk out here victors tonight.
Well, they are the top 2 teams, but we've lost 2 in the NZGC. We started with 6, we're down to 4. Let's have a look at the action. Saturday night in the sudden death eliminator. Tiger Eye, too good, just knock out Decode. And on Sunday night, Too Easy got it done with another stump in the form of a 2-0 DNA. So, 2 teams. See you later in the NZGC. But the big one, not too far away, King 5 up against Villains. There you have it, guys. We're down to 4. So for everyone at home, we started with 6 teams through round robin. They were the best 6 League of Legends teams in the country. Now, after sudden death elimination, 2 have gone home in the form of Decode and DNA. We have the 2 best teams up shortly, and we also have 2 that will come through the repechage in the next few weeks. Now, I want to come to you about King 5 a little bit more. I want to talk about Bill. He has been a monster in the jungle.
Absolutely. Junglers are just so key in order to get ahead in this game, and he's been able to enable all of the members of King 5, getting them so much pressure across the entire map, and that's really helped them out in their macro strategy.
Yes, and also they don't have one person making the shots, right? They spread the wealth across all of them. Does that help them as well?
Yeah, it's great being able to have input from so many different information sources. You can make so many more decisions with that information for sure.
Well, I caught up with Raven earlier on in the evening, and this was his thoughts around the matchup. Raven, you guys haven't won a tournament, so all the pressure's on you.
Yeah, well, we're just a newly formed team, so we're working our way to the top.
Do you think you can actually beat Villains tonight?
The Villains are a really good team. They're New Zealand legend, right? But we've put the time, we put the effort. We're better players, I believe. I think we got this in the bag.
They acknowledged it. It was awesome. I mean, Cozzy or Raven, he said, look, he acknowledged they are legends, but they felt that they were the better team and fair play, right? Is that a fair way to go?
Yeah, well, you've got to have confidence coming into this. You know, you can't go in thinking that you're the underdog. You've got to come in knowing that as you can, you're going to go in, you're going to win it.
And they are the #1 seed. But let's have a talk about Villains. And again, I want to talk about Kensty and I want to talk about Dolphs. I mean, you talk about their roster. Excellent, right? Dolphs and Kensty.
Yeah, sure. So both of those players have a wealth of experience behind them. And I mean, Kensty is a name that still, to this day, it's rippled through. He's a legend in the League of Legends scene. And he's known to be able to put a whole team on his back and carry them if he gets rolling. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do.
Yes, and I want to talk about Dolphs. You know, a lot of people out there might hear about Dolphs, obviously, you know, the way that he is. But look, you cannot take away how good Dolphs is as a shot caller and as a captain for this team. He makes the calls. It goes through him. If they win, I mean, Villains wins, it's with Dolphs, right?
At the end of the day, it's a team game and it's a strategic game. And Dolphs is a strategic mastermind, and it shows through his team. He's got a unified voice. His team respects him and trusts him. And if they can pull it together, this is a team game, and they'll win the team play. Well,
Dolphs was confident, as he always is. And I caught up with him a little while ago, and this is what he had to say. Dolphs, you guys aren't the favourites anymore. You've had a roster change. Do you realistically have a chance tonight?
If you just look at both teams, I think if we start with Shoulder Raven. Last year, came last place, didn't win any games. Who's the other one? KO, I think. I don't know who that garbage player is. But he came last as well last year, didn't win any games. Who do we have on our side? Champion? OPL champion? They're nothing to us, bro. They're nothing to us. After all, what's a king to a god?
There was Dolph. What is a king to a god? So look, shots are fired. Villains are coming in here. Look, they may be the number 2 seed. They know they're the champs, and Dolphs isn't afraid to let everybody at home and the other team know that they're here for business, right?
Absolutely. This is the Hexedome. Anything can happen, and these guys have made it happen here before, and that's going to be a huge advantage for them.
Absolutely. Well, this is the Hexedome, and let's have a look at how they'll line up in the Rift tonight. We're not too far away with the number 1 seed King 5 up against the Villains. And they'll line up like this. King 5, super strong across the board, as we talked about. Raven at the top. Bill, an absolute monster in the jungle through this tournament. Shock, one of the best up-and-coming players. KO, the bottom, and also a little decoy in support. That is King 5. If we look ahead to Villains, a superstar roster nonetheless, even with the change. Bun Bun will line up in the top. Dolphs in the shadow realms of the jungle will make the call. Kent's the OPL champion. We have Shiny and AD carry, and in support, it'll be Black Goku. There it is, King 5 versus the Villains. Well, there you go. Awesome teams. Look, for everybody that has tuned in again for the first time, you're in for a treat because these are the 2 best teams in the country. You know, it's fair to say, particularly on Proof here. So before we get to pick and ban, as we're not too far away to this exciting matchup, I'm going to come to you like I always do. Who are you picking and why?
I'm going to go with King 5. Having a substitute coming into the Hexedome for the first game with him, it's going to be a little bit hard for that first game in particular, so I'm going King 5 first.
King 5 on match number 1. What about you?
Number 1 contender versus the returning champions. I'm going to have to go. I think it's time for a new champ. I think King 5 have got it.
All right, well, for me, as I always do to you two, every week for everyone, and everyone knows that, is I'm going to go with the Villains. I'm going to go with Dolphs. I think he's going to make the right calls, and I think he's going to get match number 1. But look, we're not too far away from pick and ban. We have 2 important gentlemen standing by. They are our shoutcasters, or in traditional sport, known as our commentators. Pixie and Smite, you must be super excited.
Dude, I'm so excited for tonight. I was kind of saying before, right? We actually saw the whole tournament structure, of course, before the whole thing even launched. And we were a little disappointed to see that these teams weren't going to come up against each other in groups. But, I mean, they're coming up against each other now, and honestly, the anticipation has made it so much better.
It's worth the wait as well, right? We finally got Villains in unfamiliar territory. They've never been playing from behind on the leaderboard before. They're currently 2nd place. King 5 sitting comfortably at the top. Yeah. They're looking to reclaim their spot at the top. They're ready to rumble, right? But so are King 5.
Well, and not even just 2nd place, right? It's a tied 2nd place. The Villains have had a bit of a rockier road here than King 5 have by comparison, and it's kind of weird to see them coming into a match as the underdogs, but this is their ticket to the final. You can guarantee they would have brought their A-game, and I want to see what that A-game is in pick and ban any second now. Here we are. Oh.
Yeah, so very important phase of the game, right? You've got to pick your champions, pick the most important roles right now, banning away certain champions too. You can see
Vladimir away from Kenzie. Yeah, that is super smart. We were talking about how King 5 just need to target out Kenzie. He has a good champion pool, but there are certain champions he's just so much better on. Vladimir is one of those. Also taking Nidalee away from Dolphs does kind of take it away from Bill as well. And then, yeah, Jin from KO and Trundle from Raven. So nothing strange about those bans.
The thing about banning away Nidalee, taking it away from Dolphs, is that they now get priority pick being on blue side to pick up Elise, one of the strongest junglers, but also one of Dolph's favorites. So they take that away from him. But Villains react by picking up Karma and Cassiopeia.
And Cassiopeia, that is a bold pick. That shows extreme confidence, and that's actually one of the good champions for Kenzie. But Shock is going into that with Syndra, and also got a Brahmin there. I'm keen to see how they... Oh, is that... That's a poppy.
That's a poppy.
That's really a poppy.
That's a toppy.
I was about to say, I think there's going to be a lot of pick and engage. That poppy changes it all together. King 5, they want to disengage as much as possible and chip away damage. They want to do what's called kiting. And we're actually just joined here. Perfect timing by Arcadian. Arcadian, what is kiting? Hold that thought, Arcadian. We'll have Arcadian to fill us into the details there in just a moment, and we'll talk to these teams and their win conditions a little bit later on. Anyway, so Villains, look, they've got their comfortable champions, and they've got some really solid power spikes at the midpoints of the game. How do we feel about this? How do we just how do we feel about these two teams just going straight up, one against the
Well,
other?
a lot of taking away from each of the teams. We saw King 5 take away Elise. Villains have taken away the Lucian. They've given it to Shiny. They can't. King 5 now can't get the Lucian Brown lane. You're looking for synergy in the bottom lane. Now they can't get that. Going for Jinx instead. So I feel like there was a lot of smart play during this phase.
Yeah, and we've got a bit of a moment here as we finish up the pick and ban. And like I said, a lot of kiting potential out of this King 5 comp, a lot of disengage. And this time for real, Arcadian, talk to us about kiting.
Yes, Pixie. So kiting is essentially, it's an art, it's a finesse. There's some characters in this game which are extremely fragile, and there's ones who are huge lumbering tanks. And kiting is the ability to keep someone a kiteable distance away from you. Imagine flying a kite, it's keeping them away so you can stay safe and get off that damage.
Well, there you have it. Exactly, it is kind of like flying a kite with all that disengage. That's exactly what King 5, I expect, will try and do here. That and Siege. All that and more, though, because first, discussing the keys to the game is, of course, Cam Crunch Russell with Cam's Crunch.
Tonight's featured matchup for the Crunch. We're looking to the men in the middle. It is Kentsty from Villains taking on Shock from King 5. The legendary veteran versus the up-and-coming rookie. Kentsty is a veteran, the first player to reach Challenger in America, and the first Kiwi to win an OPL title. This NZGC, though, he has been an incredible performer with some top statistics. Kentsty currently leads the highest kill participation for a mid laner with 73% of all Villains kills to his name. He has also dealt a third of the team's damage to date. He is certainly capable of putting Villains on his back and carrying them to victory. So tonight, Villains need to look to let Kentsty out of the cage. He needs to be looking to get out of that mid lane matchup and start working the map, getting his team ahead. The Villains work very well when ahead, so Kentsty needs to try and get the rest of his team rolling to help him out. Looking for champions with high mobility or teleport plays in order to be able to get out of that middle lane. King 5's mid laner Shock is an up-and-coming rookie. At only 16 years old, he is too young to even play in the OPL at the moment. This young superstar first hit Master Tier at age 14, so he's had years of experience against Australasia's best. Shock has already made a name for himself in the Oceanic scene and is regarded by many as the best mechanical mid laner in the country. The key to victory for Shock here is just go blow for blow with the champ. Match Kentsty in everything he does. Punish him for his mistakes, but don't overextend. Shock doesn't need to beat Kentsty, he just needs to control him, keep him on a leash, keep him in lane and pressure him hard. It's all on with the matchup in the middle lane for tonight's semi-final. Who will carry their team through to the grand final at Motat?
Well, there you have it, as Cam has picked it as a battle of the mid laners tonight. We'll keep you updated on how that battle plays out because it is going to be a really exciting one. I think there's also going to be a lot of excitement. I was talking to you about this before the game, actually, around that bottom lane as well. I feel like that's somewhere Dolphs is going to try and leverage his own mastery of the jungle to get his team ahead. And speaking of getting them ahead, let's speak to these teams' win conditions again. What are we expecting out of Villains here?
So you said it during Champions Select. King 5, they've got a great team at disengaging and essentially running away from the enemy team, wasting their time. And they've done this so many times in previous games. But another element of their team composition is what we like to call pick, which is essentially singling out a target and getting a kill on them. But Arcadian, can you say a little bit more about pick?
Sure thing. So, I mean, you summarized it very well there, but essentially the aim of this game is to destroy structures, but doing that 5 against 5 is a difficult thing to do. Finding a pick is the equivalent to, in rugby, finding the gap. It's eliminating someone from the game so you can utilize your numbers.
Well, there you have it, straight up and down. And of course, the thing that is so crucial to executing on any kind of pick-related strategy is just having vision control. That is so crucial. And that is going to be all Bill versus Dolphs. We talk about how Dolphs is really great as a cerebral player. So in order to set that up, you can bet your bottom dollar Bill has got his work cut out for him there. Let's speak to Villains' win condition, though, because they've got that really strong mid-game power spike out of Lucian. How do they get there?
I feel like it's a lot of what Cam said in his crunch. It's going to be focused a lot on the mid lane, but with the bottom lane, like you said, and Lucian, it's very important to use that power spike to snowball into the late game so that Kensti can bring his team to victory, right? And that really ties in all together on the bottom side of the map, and it will focus around either the first turret kill or the first dragon attempt. But like we said before, it's about power spikes, and well, that's a very unique term to the game, right? And Lucian, he has a very solid time on that. Tell us about power spikes, Arcadian.
So power spikes are essentially different champions, different characters have natural ability and they have given ability. Power spikes are when they get to a certain point of the game, they become so much stronger, so much quicker. It's a point where they really, really do change the amount of power they've got, and they can do amazing things if utilized correctly.
Well, there you have it. We'll be seeing a bit of that as we hit the rift, and indeed, here we are. The players have their champions. The champions are loaded on, and you see before you the digital battlefield of Summoner's Rift, King 5 blue side, Villains red side, and everything on the line in Game 1.
The top of the table going up against last year's champions. It does not get any hotter than this right now. And both teams looking to secure their spot in the grand final at the Idea Collective at Motat.
And the other will have to battle and brawl their way through the remainder of the gauntlet, which still includes 2Easy and Tiger Eye. Both of these teams have actually struggled against both of those teams in the past. So a lot on the line for both of these teams tonight. They do not want to end up in that situation.
It's so much easier if you can just win tonight, but hang on, Dolphs is already taking a little bit of early damage.
Yeah, funny enough, that's
too impactful.
Yeah, he'll be able to get out, and Dolphs on that Rek'Sai has a little bit of health regeneration built into his champion's kit in that jungle, so he should be nice and fine, but even Raven coming down just to say, yeah, no funny business. Bit of early vision for both of these teams, and I believe both will again know where these junglers are going to be starting.
Minions have spawned.
Yeah, both teams going for what we call the fan-out defense, where they actually defend each entrance to their own jungle so that the enemy team can't sneak in and get any secret intel that they might be planning. Basically, it's a gentleman's agreement where both teams do it, and it starts off like a normal game without any funny business.
Yeah, now I want to bring our attention before we get into this game to the top of your screens, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the scoreboard. This is going to be all important. We're going to be talking about this all night long. Moving outside to end, you can of course see the left-hand side represents the blue team, currently King 5. The red right-hand side, with the heart, is of course the Villains on the red team here. The outermost number is of course the total score. Then moving inward from that, you have the number of dragons taken. The dragon is a neutral objective. We'll get Arcadian to chat to you about that at some point, I'm sure. Moving in from that, we have turrets, which are a bunch of neutral structures across the map. And from that, we have the team's total gold. And in the dead center, all important is the total number of kills.
Of course, that's the most fun stat to watch, right? How many kills can each side get? You may even see one of those early on. But the best way to tell if a team is ahead, if you're unsure, is check that gold lead, right? If one team is significantly ahead in gold, it usually means they're doing a lot better than the enemy team. So if you're a little bit lost, just take a look up there.
Exactly. It is a simple thing where, you know, sometimes points don't always tell the whole story. I mean, hey, we've all seen rugby matches, right, where one team has scored just a few more points than the other, but the others hit the ball 90% of the time. That's just the nature of the beast sometimes, and right now you can see on your screens the gold is almost dead even. There's about 100 difference, which is about as close to negligible as it gets.
Yeah, of course. And what we saw there was a little bit of trading. I say trading, but Shock didn't take any damage back. Kensti, he's going to struggle a little bit in the early game, particularly because Shock, playing Syndra, can harass the enemy champion quite often, and needs to be doing that because Kensti on Cassiopeia, we were saying it before, needs to get to that mid-game power spike and particularly the late game.
Yeah, but this is super crucial. Bill showed his face, which means Dolphs knows exactly where he is. Bill is going to be able to secure himself Scuttle Crab there, which provides his team a significant amount of vision throughout that river area. So good pickup by Bill, and I'm surprised Dolphs wasn't quicker to react to that actually. And already it's looking like Bill is getting that control over the bottom side of the map, which he said he needed.
Of course, you were saying it before, the bottom side of the map is going to be important because, especially with a roster swap, Villains, they're a little bit shaky and are not sure how well this bottom side is going to go. Shiny, a very proven AD carry, plays great in his role. Black Goku, though, a new addition to the roster, needs to see how they play with the Villains. Of course, they will have been practicing a lot with him in the lineup, but now he's in the Hexedome, it's a completely different story.
You did right, it's a completely different story, and it's the classic thing. Even if he's a great player, even if they've been dead calm in scrims, when the pressure is on, that is where the true test of your ability lies, right? So Yeah, Bill, again, securing a Scuttle Crab, getting that topside vision, but you're right, I wouldn't be surprised to see them just putting pressure on Black Goku to see if he cracks. So there's going to be a lot of questions around Black Goku's gameplay tonight for sure. As both of these teams just off to a bit of a quiet start in this game. No significant leads anywhere across the board just yet.
I'm just going to draw your eyes to the bottom side of the map where you can see a little array of the champion icons. You can see some numbers next to those bases, and those are called CS, or creep score, and that's also a good way of telling how well a particular player is doing. Right now, everyone seems to be roughly even right now, only slight leads in each lane. So both teams we've seen quite commonly just come back from being behind by being very ahead in the laning phase.
Yeah, both of these teams often rely, like you said, on that consistent laning, but when they're coming up against, you know, equals, then it's a bit of a different story. And speaking of, Dolph's already finding that he has met his match in Bill in the jungle, and him and Shock putting on the pressure. Now there's going to be a similar kind of skirmish in the bottom lane. Shiny taking chunks. The deals some back to KO, and Black Goku has got his work cut out for him if he wants to poke down those health bars to kind of even it up in that bottom lane. No kills though, just a lot of excitement.
Yeah, the thing is, KO, it's similar to what Shock had to do in the mid lane. KO just has to survive the laning phase and get that CS up and become a monster during the late game. Now, Dobbs, he may he's not going for a mid lane gank, but he is stealing some jungle from the enemy jungler.
I believe this was spotted out there, a couple of wards in the river there, so Dobbs, he does get away with it, but the team knows all about it. They're not going to get themselves in trouble, and he puts down some vision of his own there. He is now going to have a wealth of information about Bill. And for those that missed it before, Arcadian, recap us on vision and what exactly wards are.
Well, each team they can't see further than their characters can see, obviously. But what you can do is purchase these little trinkets called wards, and they're essentially little CCTVs. They give you vision on other parts of the map and help you make decisions. An interesting thing we saw just there with Dolphs is that you can also, if you know where a CCTV is of the enemy, then you can use it to feed them misinformation, which is basically deceiving them into making different decisions. And so that's essentially what wards are.
And it is all down to the junglers to control that vision. There you see it again. Dolphs clearing out the ward Bill just placed, making sure that King 5 stay as in the dark as possible as to the villain's whereabouts. And here again, Bill securing a Scuttle Crab to secure his team that vision. This time, though, he doesn't have that same control over the bottom side. Dolphs has started to light that one up.
And you can actually see both junglers are playing around the bottom side of the map, making sure they've got control. Also, keeping an eye on the mid lane too, Bill particularly on Kensti. But what this means is if you have a look at the CS, Raven in the top lane is out CSing Bun Bun. He is now ahead, and attention has to be drawn to this lane at some point.
And that attention is going to be drawn by Dolphs. Bill, he knows he just needs to hover around this bottom side. He will get his opportunity to clear out vision and get his opportunity to really pressure out that lane.
Of course. Raven, a huge player on King 5, one of the biggest reasons that they can actually bring victory. And look at this, he's just scaring
zoning,
Bun Bun away from this creeps, which is his source of gold.
This is interesting, the zoning. I'm going to touch on zoning real quick. Zoning is basically the threat of death. So, Arcadian, what is zoning? How is Raven using it here?
Well, every champion has an effective damage range. It's something that if you're inside that perimeter, you are in trouble. Now, what the Poppy in the top lane's managed to do is scare Echo so much that he has to stay outside of his zone of attack.
And rightfully so, you can see the trades going here again. Raven's getting low though. Bun Bun with the ult back, he's out of mana though. Raven, better swing and misses! Bun Bun just with fancy feet. Bill here to try answer, but Dolphs, there's that attention we said was coming. And first blood goes over to Villains. Raven, he had all that zoning potential, but I don't think he respected Dolphs there.
Importantly, missed his ultimate ability, wasn't able to swing Bun Bun way back. And of course, now that players are level 6, we do have access to those ultimate abilities. They're your strongest move. It has a big cooldown usually, which means you have to wait a long time if you use it, but they affect the game massively. And Raven, he has to aim his, and missing it completely got him killed there.
Speaking of crucial cooldowns, there's something else I really want to touch on here. The CS has been kind of evened up in that top lane. The gold is still fairly even. So Raven, he's taking the long walk. He is walking up to lane, whereas Bun Bun just blew teleport. Raven has that advantage for global pressure, but never mind that because the top lane pressure is here. Bill has stuck around. This is so sneaky.
But Dolphs is nearby. If he spots out what's going on, he could come in and help, but he's going to react fast.
Oh, they're going to go for it. They've forced Bun Bun into the fight there. The stun does go wide though. They have knocked him against the wall. Now Bill's trying to get in. The Q is there, but Bun Bun gets a double stun, and he is going to be able to wander just out of that completely fine. Good damage though. If they're able to force Bun Bun back, he can't teleport this time, and we can see Raven getting another CS lead.
And now that junglers are paying so much attention to the top side of the map, you have a look at the middle. Shock versus Kensti. Kensti's CS is now creeping ahead, despite he's picked up Tears of the Goddess, which is an item you pick up when you want to scale well into the late game. But never mind that.
Yeah, Bill's keeping on the pressure. This is smart play. Bun Bun, he's forced to ult. That only puts him further back into the lane, right to the jaws of Poppy. Raven, but Bun Bun's so fast. He's able to get out of that one. Dolphs isn't even anywhere nearby though. This is just a bluff by Bun Bun, pretending he's got support coming, and it's going to pay off. Because while Bill was wasting all that time in top lane, Dolphs has gone back to dominating the bottom side of the map.
And of course, it's something your team needs to be aware of. When you see the enemy jungler make a move, your one needs to make a move somewhere else on the map, whether it's counter-ganking or paying attention to the bottom side of the map where you know there won't be a reaction by the enemy team.
Ward getting cleared out there from Little Decoy. They did, at the very least, spot Dolphs with that, but Dolphs is pinged it out. He's going to start getting onto this dragon because he knows Bill is miles away. But this is where something I talked about earlier could come into play. Raven has teleport, Bun Bun has not. King 5 can turn this into a 5-on-4 if they want.
But it's also about that all-important vision, which King 5 just don't have. They can't see
do they even
that
know that
villains
this is happening?
They can't see that villains are doing the dragon, and villains are going to get this uncontested. Now it's the Ocean Drake, which gives them a little bit of regeneration. How important, and can you explain that a little better for me, Arcade?
Sure thing. So each team, as you see, each character has a red and a blue bar above their champion. That's essentially their health and their mana. Now their mana is their ability to do abilities. It's their energy pool. And then they've got their health. It's incredibly important in long, sustained fights to keep those topped up as you can, because otherwise you'll end up going into a fight possibly weaker. It's your stamina. And so this is going to help them really sustain into the long game and the late game and do really well in those big standoffs.
Alright, and that's going to be really important as well because, like we were saying before, King 5, they're looking to disengage, run away, waste villains' time, and that's going to create very long fights, very sustained fights. But never mind, Bill's showing space in the top lane again.
Again, he's really giving the pressure up, and this time Bun Bun is out of tools, uses the ultimate, but it's only a matter of time for sure. Bill flashing forward to secure it, and they do get that one down. Raven actually did pop the ultimate there. Didn't let it go back in cooldown, but in any case, they finally get the returns. Dolphs is going to try and answer in the bottom lane. Big knockups there from Little Decoy, though, and Dolphs is too deep. Drops down. That is an unfortunate turnaround. Now Shiny and Black Goku caught between the turrets. This is hostile territory. KO, he knows he's low, so he isn't going to commit. Instead, they're going to bring down Raven with that teleport at last. It is useful, and they get right onto Black Goku. Raven picking up that one, and the villains desperate to answer the move in the top side. Oh, it totally blew up in their faces.
There's a lot to talk about in that tower dive, and we'll talk about it once we get the replay for it. But now we're seeing champions recall. Players are going back to the base, spending that gold that they have earned in the game. And you can actually see, if you draw your eyes down to the bottom of the screen, you've got a BF sword for KO, which is great item for AD carries to get early, and he still has more gold.
Yeah, so that's item spikes. Before we touch on that, though, walk us through this fight.
Okay, so Lil Decoy is playing Brown, who puts up a massive shield which blocks projectiles. And that is what kept his AD carry Shiny alive while they were being tower dove. And when you're doing a tower dive, you've got a limited time before that turret eventually kills your entire team. And they dove way too out of position, and there's the teleport you were talking about before with Raven.
Yeah, really it just wasn't respecting the fact that Braum can stun so many people, and then Raven being able to come down made it go from bad to worse for the villains. You mentioned, though, some key items being picked up there in that bottom lane. So Arcadian, we talked about power spikes earlier. How exactly do items marry into that?
Well, items are essentially, if you're not naturally talented, you need something to help boost your game. And that's essentially what items are. Their ability for any champion to buy these items with the gold they've earned throughout the game to buff them up, to make them more powerful. It's the sports shoes, it's the tennis rackets, it's all the fancy equipment to help them really do well. And that's what items do for you.
And a big one to look at is Shiny. He's picked up the Youmuu's Ghostblade. That's that little purple sword-looking thing down there. What that does is he can activate it to boost his attack speed and his movement speed to do even more damage. And that's crucial because Lucian is an ability-based AD carry as well, likes to weave in his abilities at the same time, but importantly, needs to get those bursts of damage to take down the enemy team, and we'll see that soon over the mid-game.
And that item is exactly where his power spike comes from, that mid-game power spike. That is the key component of that. So with that in his pocket, villains, they are definitely going to be looking ready to fight here. Only a small way behind in the goal, but Shiny, hold on, maybe ready to fight, but if he doesn't fight an even footing, then it could go completely pear-shaped, already zoned out. Black Goku trying to do the work. Now he's stunned up. KO keeping the pressure on, but Shiny is found when KO takes a turret shot, and Shiny heals up at the last second, gets out with his life. They didn't quite get the kill on KO, but they got the one on Little Decoy. Bill has come in, just that nothing funky happens on KO, but that was really tight stuff. And then has sent a message now, and Dolph's moving up to the top lane now that Bill has been spotted in the bottom. Raven in a 2 versus 1, and this is where Poppy's immobility becomes an issue. He needs to charge up that ultimate, but he does not have it available. He's going to try and get a kill on Bun Bun, maybe if he can. Goes in, oh, but the ultimate's there for Bun Bun. Now Raven is on cooldown. Oh, not quite enough for him. Bun Bun with a sliver of health gets away thanks to that ultimate. That little burst of health he gets back. In spite of all that though, King 5, they got a turret in the bottom lane, got a gold boost from that, and they've kept it even. Talk to us about that turret, Smite.
The smart thing is that villains recognize the threat down there too, and they backed off not giving away any more kills. But picking up that first turret in the game gives King 5 a bonus boost to their gold. Kenzie should be fine here, but this bonus boost to the gold, King 5 should be snowballing off with this. You can actually see a 1,500 gold lead for them.
And this is how King 5 are going to try and get ahead now. They know they've got that bottom turret down. They moved Little Decoy up to the mid lane, and Bill as well. They were hoping to get a kill, I guarantee, but without that, they're just going to try and pressure out Kenzie instead and start sieging down turrets. And it looks like their plan is just to pick up as much turret gold as possible. Again, they just gave up 2 kills, but they are still in the lead with gold because of those turrets.
Moving more into the middle side of the game, an important thing that you did mention is siege. Sieging down turrets, getting them down, and it's an important term that we're going to use quite a lot as we move later on into the game. Do you want to talk to us a little bit about what siege really is, Arcadian?
Sure thing. So siege is essentially when you set up camp outside one of the enemy structures and you're trying to slowly break down their defenses.
Oh, hold on. Breaking down the defenses. Speaking of, Raven caught under his defenses. Tries to turn it around onto Dolph. That turret was low. Raven did not need to stick around. And he's the one with teleport. No one can come to his aid because no one else has that teleport. He is surely a dead man here. Going to hand that one over to Shiny. Nice pickup for them. Plus the turret. King 5 need to answer this one. They have made a mistake by letting Raven get caught.
And you can see them answering on the minimap. They're trying to push down this top lane turret. But Bun Bun has recognized the threat. He's backed off. So they might lose the turret. But unlike King 5, they won't give away a kill.
Well, I think the key thing here actually is King 5 wanted to... They set this up, right? They wanted to do this rotation. They were the ones that sent their duo lane up and put Raven in that situation. It's hard to call it an answer when it was their plan all along. If anything, they've kind of lost out because Villains got more out of King 5's plan.
Villains, being a veteran team, are very good at reading the enemy team's plans. And I feel like that's exactly what happened there. They saw that King 5 were looking for a trade and recognized Raven's weakness in the bottom side of the map. Now, the big bad dragon, he's back, he's respawning, comes back every 6 minutes, and Villains, once again, are getting an uncontested dragon. King 5 cannot see this. They have no vision of it.
And this is just because of how much time Bill has been spending up in the top lane. But hold on, it might start paying off for them here. Kenzie low, does not quite go down to Bun Bun. They're actually just going to try and turn this into the fight here, the Villains. Oh, the rocket goes wide on the back side there, and they're just trying to poke and siege down as best as they can. Need to start backing out now. Ooh, a little bit tight for a moment there, but that is a 5 versus 4. Dolphs is sniffing around the sides, can't quite get the engage. Backs off for now, and having picked up that dragon, Villains are happy with what they have as the gold is looking about as even as it can 17 minutes into the game.
We talked about how tight these games were going to be, and both teams are neck and neck right now. King 5 do have a 1 turret lead, which means they have a little bit more control around the map. There's no turrets to worry about. They can move deeper into enemy territory and drop down vision wards. As you can see, Villains were actually answering there, and that's another key part, clearing out the enemy vision.
And it's something Dolphs has been all over. So we talked about the importance of vision and how you can gain vision. Arcadian, how about you talk to us about how you can deny vision?
Well, as important as it is to set up your own vision and your own CCTVs across the map, it is equally as important to get rid of the enemies because you don't want them to know what you're doing. And so you can buy an item called a Vision Ward, which you can see on the map right now, the little blue one with 4 health bars. Now, those enable you to see the enemy's CCTVs or bugs. You can see the Vision Wards, and then you can clear it out. Using that, you can move around the map like you see Bill doing right now without being seen, and potentially catch people off guard.
Speaking of, they're going to be able to rotate up here to defend out this turret. Good work done by Shiny and Bun Bun. They're committing 2 carries here, though. Bill wants to go in for a fight. Already Shiny getting low. Now KO. Bun Bun's gone in for it. That could cost him. Oh, he's on the Flame Chopper's forced to ult and Flash. Eating a culling there, the entire team. A rocket goes wide, though. The needle is threaded, unfortunately, for King 5. They get nothing from it, but they did defend the turret quite crucially. Now Little Decoy as we see here, denying some wards using that sweeper, which also stops them from seeing while it is running.
Another important thing to remember, right, is if you've never seen this game before, you've never played it, what we're seeing right now is actually completely different to what the players see. Because we can see what both teams can see, but each side, they're very limited. For example, right now, Villains can't see the Rift Herald dying.
Yeah, and that's one they want to hand over to Raven here. The Rift Herald is like a mini Baron buff. We haven't actually talked about Baron buff, but I guarantee you I will. Hold tight there. And what it does is provides a ton of stats to the champion that has that buff, and it provides stats to nearby minions, whoever is near that champion. That is going to give them some split pushing pressure, but never mind that, because it's going to be Villains wanting to team fight. They know that they can't survive the split push. They've already got KO. He's a big damage dealer, but Bun pays for it with his life. It's a 1-for-1 right now, and Dolphs and Kensti, it's only a 3 versus 4 here. Unideal for them. Raven, he's waiting for some cooldowns. Shock is still looking healthy, gets a stun on Kensti. They maybe want to try go in, throw down an ultimate to him, not quite enough, but it does zone him out of the fight. Here's going to be the disengage from King 5. They trade 1-for-1. They'll color themselves happy with that one. They're going to back out smartly.
And now we saw a 1-for-1 trade right there, but it wasn't enough for either team to take an advantage, even though Shiny was in the top side of the map. And if you look at the scoreboard, right, Villains might be ahead by 1 kill, but King 5 are ahead in the gold, which is, in the end, the more important stat. They've got more control around the map with the 2 turrets as well.
Now, you just saw a very strange beast on your screen. The Rift Herald is gone. It is 20 minutes into the game, and that means someone far more threatening has taken his place. Baron Nashor has spawned into the map, and I mentioned him before. Arcadian, talk to us about the beast that is Baron.
Baron Nashor is what we call a major objective. It is a huge beast on the map that if a team can take them down, they essentially get rewarded in a big way. And that's in the form of what we'd call legal performance enhancers. It essentially makes that team so much stronger, so much more mobile, so much more effective in any way that you could find be effective.
Absolutely crucial for these teams to control vision around that area. And right now, that is where King 5 have been putting their pressure. Look at all the wards they've got down in that side.
Yeah, huge amount, and even having their own bodies down there, looking to get a kill. We were talking about it before. Pick to take down one of the enemy team. And that's important because the later the game goes on, the longer it takes for them to rejoin the game, right? If you die at 5 minutes into the game, you'll be back in within 30 seconds after the walk back to lane. But if you die at this point in the game, you're thinking 30 seconds alone just to come back into the game all the way back at your base. Wait another 20 minutes, and it's more than a minute.
Yeah, Shock getting a little bit zoned out with the damage there. We're seeing King 5, though. They're happy to fight around vision, which means they're going to be happy to take this team fight. Now Kensti, having gone too deep onto Shock, gets turned around upon. Little Decoy is the one who gets the credit for that kill. Now Dolph's in trouble. Oh, he's able to tunnel away just as the stun lands. He is going to get out alive, but this turret is surely done for. And that is the middle turret going down. That is really, really key because that provides King 5 with a lot of space on this map. We're seeing topside vision control. I bet they're going to leverage this into mid area vision control.
And another important thing as well, when these fights do happen, have a look at the minimap and see where the whole team is. During that last fight, Villains had not only a member in the top lane, but a member in the bottom lane as well. They just didn't have the numbers advantage to have an even fight.
And really, that's what League of Legends comes down to a lot of the time. It is a numbers game. If you can force the enemy into a fight where they have less men than you, it's no secret to how that one's gonna go. It's the 5-on-5 fights that are the really tight and exciting ones, and I doubt either of these teams are gonna let themselves get caught in that situation. Like we said, King 5, in that situation, they want to disengage. The Villains, well, they don't even want to set up for that situation.
No, well, as we move later on into the game, and in fact, we've got our buddy Dragon respawning once again, does it every 6 minutes.
That's what the Cloud Drake. Cloud Drake provides out-of-combat movement speed. You pick it up, you will move just a little bit faster across the map, and we talked about how important setting up for plays, what we call rotating and out-rotating your enemy is. Well,
this is
big.
big.
Is a great way to do that. Yeah, this is big. Here we're seeing the Baron already being started off. This is quite an early Baron, all things considered.
And this is, yeah, you don't normally see the Baron this early, but it's because Shiny was caught on the bottom side of the map, but they're coming in.
They're going to try and start it off. Zoning out KO. Oh, Bunbud gets onto him. Little Decoy has to come to his aid there, but they've got time to secure the Baron, and Bunbud's now zoned out of the fight. Kensti's trying to do work, but he's too deep. Raven stuns him against the wall. Kensti is down. He is a goner. Now Black Goku separated out from Shiny. Bill tanking up all of the culling flashes over the wall. They're looking for Black Goku. They're going to be able to find Black Goku. Bill picking up that kill. The Baron and 2 kills. King 5, they can color themselves pleased to Dan. They're going to turn this into a turret. What a fight by them. They're starting to show their dominance.
and that's unbelievable. And because of those 3 kills they got, they didn't lose any members. They can rip down the turrets for the villains right now. Not just one, but I think they can push down this inhibitor turret, and if they're lucky, they can even push down the inhibitor itself.
And this is what I called right at the start of the game. Patient play, treading blow for blow, until one team blows it open. And this is exactly how King 5 played. Normally, what a catch on Dogs, who was greedy. He went, I can get Little Decoy. But Little Decoy's life means nothing here compared to Dogs. He has now 30 seconds to come up just as the rest of his team finally respawns. That's going to mean they lose an inhibitor as well.
And now this is incredible. That is a 7,000 gold lead. This is last year's champions, and King 5 are wiping the floor with them. It was an even game about 6 minutes ago. That Baron fight has blown the game wide open for King 5. It is theirs to lose.
This is something we call a Baron power play. It is when you secure the Baron buff and you get as much gold off the map as you can. But never mind all that, Raven could be in trouble. The team's going to come to his aid. Quick Smart flashes over the wall. Shock is there with the stun. Oh, Raven gets away with it. Wanders on out. And that power play, I want to touch on that one more time. That power play is to the tune of 7,000 golds in the lead now for King 5 with all the turrets they took off the map.
And now once again, villains have got an uncontested dragon. So while King 5 might pick up the objectives in the towers and the Baron, and in the end that's going to be more gold, but the villains have picked up 3 dragons. Now 2 of those were Cloud Drakes, so they're going to move very fast around the map, and 1 is an Ocean Drake, so they will regenerate very nicely.
And they are desperately going to need that as well with 7,000 gold not in their favor. They are right in the mid-game as well. This is where the villains should be the stronger team. This is where they should have come online. But somewhere in the mix, King 5 have found the power to muscle the villains out. It's really tenuous now for villains to answer. They've given themselves the tools, but unlike some of the other teams that have gone home from this tournament, King 5 are not going to give villains that window to get back in.
And King 5, they made a call. They made a dangerous call to go for the Baron that early on. That shows confidence in their play because they knew they were able to take it. Now they've got the Baron, they can start sieging up this tower. They've got Raven in the bottom lane with teleport ready. Here's the fight!
Yeah, Decoy just 1 versus 3 holding people off. Dolphs now, he's separated from his team. And the 4 members of the rest of them are getting hunted down by Raven now. Here's skulking to the jungle. He's found Black Goku. That's the first one as KO finishes off Dolphs on the bottom side of your screens. The rocket catches Kensti. He's forced to flash over the wall. He will be able to get out, but it is now a numerical disadvantage with Black Goku and Dolphs dead. It is 5 versus 3 in the base. Super Mini's pouring in. Kensti low. Now he goes down. Bun in trouble. He might be able to get back to the base. He might not. It doesn't matter though because the base is nearly done for.
This could be the game. King 5 could just take it out right here.
It is indeed going to be the game. Never mind what Shiny tries to do. Never mind what minuscule damage he has because King 5 are looking to claim that ticket directly to the grand final.
What did we just see?
Well, we just saw King 5 won.
The game was completely even. I thought, wow, we've got such a game in our hands. This is even. We're going to see a long game right now, but King 5 turned on their macro shot calling where they make the decisions as a team and they say, look, this is our strategy. We go do this now and we can win. And they pulled it off and caught villains completely on the back foot.
Like you said, it was just the total confidence. They spotted Shiny a little bit out of position with the vision control that they'd set up. We talked about how important that was, and my goodness, was it important, because that's exactly what allowed King 5 to set up that Baron, and from there it was the Baron power play, and that was just it. That was it from there onwards. If you want to say there's a story to that game, it's both of these teams were even until suddenly they weren't, and King 5 were just better. And they're going to carry that now into Game 2. We'll meet you back at Game 2, but until then, to talk us through what on earth we just saw, we've got Juan and the boys on the desk.
Yeah, thanks very much. Monster first game, major semi-final, and King 5 have basically stamped their authority. Like the boys said there, it was even. Baron came, King 5 got it done. They are 1-0. Also, I've just heard as well that there is an NZG official party down at the Viaduct, so a big shout out to everyone down there. Great to have you guys watching. We're going to take a short break and then we're going to come down and break it down a little bit further. So don't go anywhere.
better live. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final is your chance to really experience the excitement of eSports live. Wednesday, October 12, all roads lead to Motad and the Idea Collective to see who will be crowned champions. Tickets are on sale now at eventbrite.co.nz. Use the keyword NZGC. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final. You just gotta be there live. Get your tickets now at eventbrite.co.nz.
Yes, welcome back to Sky Sports' exclusive coverage of the New Zealand Gaming Championships 2016. This is the major semi-final. Number 1 ranked team up against number 2, with the winning team heading straight to the Idea Collective and the grand final in 2 weeks' time. So it is very, very important. And we've just seen first blood drawn. It is King 5, the minor premiers, 1-0 over last year's reigning champions, the Villains. One more to go for King 5 and they move forward.
And boy, did they explode once they got given that inch that let them get there.
Yes, and I want to come to Villains, though. Obviously, they dropped. They are last year's champions. We talked about Dolphs at the top and him being the shot caller for the captain. I believe that potentially the communication to that new roster impacted them later on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the first 20 minutes of that game, it was blow for blow. They were so even. And then the second, a little bit of pressure started being applied. Now, I couldn't hear what they were saying, but it looked to me as if the communication just died because they fell apart.
Yes, well, the positive is the fact if you're a King 5 supporter or you look at the way they played, they were good across the map.
Yeah, they were focusing on the objectives of the game. Villains were trying very hard to pressure for kills, and they were going for the wrong objectives while King 5 were prioritising the right ones, and that is the difference there.
Yes, it was, and it was interesting that, you know, like you said, it was level, then the Baron came, all of a sudden it starts to go wrong for Villains.
And it, as I was saying before, just exploded. The second that they got that, the game just turned on its head. Everything was in King 5's favour, and they knew it, and they pushed it as hard as they possibly could and managed to end within just a matter of a couple of minutes.
And that's, to me, that's the key to experience. That's what that looks like to me. You've got the King 5 are the newbies. They're here for the first year. That was the show of experience over Villains, who should have been doing that. They pulled the trigger. It was fantastic.
It was fantastic. So for everybody at home, if King 5 get it done and they win 2-0, they move to the grand final. Villains, last year's champions, are going to have a bumpy road, but they need to come back. We're not too far away from match number 2. Gentlemen, Pixie and Smite, massive first match. Over to you, boys.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to us. I know we're so fantastic. And also to pick and ban Villains versus King 5. There's got to be some adaptations made here, right? Surely. I mean, King 5, they brought out some left field oddball picks, things that haven't been banned away, things like that Poppy Top. And they've been left up. Like, do Villains just have a different plan, maybe?
It's possible, but another adaptation as well is King 5. They've changed up their bans. They're now on red sign, so they don't get first pick. They've banned Elise, and that shows, because that's Dolph's favorite champion, and because last time they were able to first pick it, this time they want to ban it. It shows that they're targeting Dolph's quite a lot just from that one champion, and it shows how much they respect his ability to play on Elise.
Well, we're also seeing two other things. First of all, since they knew that so Jin was left up. Since they knew that was going to be first picks taken away from KO, it's left open the Cassiopeia for King 5 to take away and take that from Kensti. They've also been able to secure the Braum for themselves again. Little Decoy was fantastic on that last game. And now I feel like King 5, they're just gone, all right, you're going to have that. We're just going to take some more important things, because we talked about how you kind of need to ban out some of Kensti's pool, right? Speaking of, Vladimir's been left open.
That's true. I would not be surprised for Villains to just pick it up right here. And, well, that's a Gragas pick. We'll talk about that in a second. But Kensti, every game that he has played, Vladimir has completely gone off. And against the Cassiopeia, who also has a rough early game, Vladimir is going to be able to get into the late game phase. And like Crunch said in, well, his Crunch, he's going to be able to uncage himself. Kensti's going to be able to go off, especially if he has Dolphs looking after him. Now, they haven't picked Vladimir yet, so we might be hyping it up just a little bit, but would not be surprised to see it locked in, as well as the Gnar.
Yeah, really wouldn't, and a lot of that would just be the mid-ground control in team fights. I think it would be super crucial, but instead, they're going to go for what worked against them last time by the looks of things. Yeah, they're going to lock in Syndra to go up against that Cassiopeia. I want to touch on something else with King 5. They've gone ahead with Jinx again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? And now they're going to be able to secure their top lane pick, but Gragas in the jungle for Bill. Gragas we've actually seen fall off a little bit. Certainly not bad, but not as strong. And without Nidalee and Elise on the table and Dolph's picking up Rek'Sai, Bill is actually looking a little bit lost for champions here.
Maybe so, but then again, these teams have been practicing quite hard, trying out new champions, and Bill shows that he's now able to play for the team. We've seen a lot of New Zealand junglers play a little bit greedy, a little bit for themselves, playing assassin-based junglers like Nidalee, like Elise. But Bill picking up Gragas shows that he is really working with the team, and we are already seeing a little bit of a disengaged composition because Gragas can throw out his ultimate and just completely throw a team fight out into the trash can.
Speaking of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, they're going to stick with the Poppy in the top lane. Raven's going, well, it worked last time. And I'll be honest, it really did work last time. Is it a bit of a different matchup this time? A ranged one? One that I would like to think favors Gnar, but in any case, we still saw Raven use that to great effect and also leverage it in the later parts of the game. So I like this pickup.
I'd have to say it definitely favors Bun Bun because you're a ranged champion against a melee champion. Not just any melee champion, someone who struggles a little bit earlier on in the game. Bun Bun should harass the heck out of Raven, push him out of lane, make it so that he can't get any creep score at all. Really needs to use that favorable lane advantage he has right now to not only keep Raven down, but bring him up, because Gnar is a crucial part of any team composition.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to touch on and how those lanes are going to play out and how the junglers especially are going to affect them. Before we go through any of that though, first up, we have a very dead basic thing that we think deserves a bit of explaining, and that thing is CS, which touched on it last game. Let's get a bit more in depth to it, and to help us do that is Arcadian.
Thank you very much, Pixies.
Powered by Playtech.
Hey guys, my name's Arcadian and welcome to How to Play League of Legends, where I walk you through the basic concepts around one of the world's most popular online games, all so you can get a piece of the action. Now this time around, we're going to be taking a look at what League of Legends players call freezing. Now a big part of many League of Legends games is what we call the laning phase, when all of the players go to their designated area on the map and start killing minions for gold so they can buy items and become strong enough to overpower their enemy. However, part of the macro play in the laning phase is where you are actually positioned in the lane. You'd assume when the minions push out into the lane, they leave at the same time and arrive at the same time, so you'd always be in the middle of the lane, right? Well, not exactly. Pro players can manipulate minions, making them move faster or slower toward the enemy lanes, kind of like the tides of an ocean. Freezing is when you get the minions in the perfect spot you want them in, maybe somewhere where you would be completely safe from the enemy team, and then you keep the minion wave completely still, static, frozen. This is called a freeze, because if we think back to our ocean analogy, if the water is frozen, the waves and the tides stop flowing. It's actually really effective, because it forces the enemy to walk so far away from his safe zone to keep up with your gold income, making it much more dangerous just to compete with you for the same resources. It's a neat trick, and I'm sure you'll see it used in any of the pro games you end up watching. But that's all for now. And so thanks for watching. This has been your teacher Arcadian, and until next time, as always, arc out!
Alright, cheers Arcadian. Well, we had CSing sorted, so we went just a little step deeper there. Slightly more in-depth strategy of freezing. I'm curious to see whether we'll see that pulled out, and I think the place we're quite likely to see that pulled out, funnily enough, is the top lane you were talking about. It could be hugely advantageous for Bun Bun to freeze the wave in his favor to stop Raven from getting to it.
And if Bun Bun's able to do that, Raven, he's just going to have to sit away from his CS, and well, he's going to have to let it go.
He's going to miss out? Yeah.
Get it? Because frozen.
Right.
You didn't pick up off it.
I didn't.
Okay, well, it was a good joke. I liked it. But in any case, I was saying it before, and it's going to be important again.
Are you a dad now? What just happened?
I hope I'm not.
But yeah, I think your phone's about to go off and you're about to receive.
Let's talk about the game, all right?
Let's talk about the game, yeah. So, but yeah, you're completely right. He would just have to let that CS and experience go. So he would be behind in levels, he'd be behind in gold, and that would be disastrous for him. And it was a bit different last time because it was melee versus melee. This isn't going to be the case that's in this game. So I want to touch on how the junglers interact with that top lane. So last game we saw Bill put a lot of attention up there to get Raven ahead, and I feel like he really has to do that this time. And this time around as well, Dolce is going to know that. And with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and hit the riff for game 2.
And Villains, they are 1 game down. They need to win 2 in a row to secure their place at the live finals, at the Idea Collective, at Motat. King 5, though, they are 1 game away from shoving last year's defending champions down into another semi-final.
Yeah, another semi-final, another gauntlet where they are at mighty fine risk of playing against Too Easy, the other team to have taken them. Yeah, the other team to have taken them down. Well, or Tiger Eye, but I'll tell you what, if Tiger Eye take out Too Easy, then what does that say about how they stack up against Villains? All that and more. But first, Villains, they would have to lose this one against King 5, and I don't think they're quite so keen on doing that. Very defensive starts again from both of these teams, not taking any risks, not taking any chances.
And take a look at this. This is just going to be an example of what the laning phase will be for Bun Bun.
A microcosm.
Throwing his little boomerang straight at Raven's face from the distance. Now, the big thing to mention is, and it's going to tie into the fact that you mentioned the junglers are going to pay attention to the top lane. Gnar is not always in that ranged form. He does transform into a big beast of a monster. We call it Mega Gnar, and his mobility and his range are much lower, despite being a little bit harder to kill. But if you bring a jungler up, he can't escape as easily.
That he cannot, and that will be Bill's opportunity to strike if they could set up for that. So we'll have to be on point communication coming out of Raven to call when Bun Bun will be in that mega form and when he'll be in that mini form, so that Bill can figure out when he's got to be where. Meanwhile, on the bottom side, both of these bottom laners going to start off with that jungle camp each to give themselves that early experience. We talked about that last game, but for those of you just joining us now, Arcadian, give us a quick recap on experience.
Experience is essentially what you learn throughout the game and makes you more powerful. You need your experience to level up your abilities, and you need to use it to become stronger. Every level comes attached with more health, more mana, and stronger abilities as you go, and you get that experience from killing monsters or your enemies.
And we're going to see both teams really fighting for not just gold, but like you said, experience, because it does make them more powerful. Now, importantly, getting level 2 straight away in the bottom lane is quite crucial to both of those players. Luckily for them, they both hit it at the same time, so they're not going to be able to use that advantage to get maybe an early kill or some good trading damage to, like we were talking about before, zone them away from the creep score.
And while we've got a bit of a breather, let's run you all through, for those of you tuning in for your first time, or for those of you tuning in to your second time who just want a bit of a refresher, what you're currently seeing on your screens and the user interface splayed out before you at the top of your screen, so you can of course see the scoreboard going out to N. We have King 5 this time on the red side. You can see they are already 1 point up in the series. Villains on the blue side going outward to N. We have the dragons first on the outside. We have the turrets after that. And from that is the gold, which is probably one of our most important stats. And then at the dead center, the flashiest thing of all is the kills. And on the bottom right of your screen is the mini-map.
Now, I said it in game 1. The most important thing to look at, if you're a little bit lost, is that gold score. It really easily shows at a quick glance which team is ahead most of the time. Sometimes it tells a different story, but if you're lost, that's what you look for. But Bill at level 3 going for a gank.
Yeah, this is really, really quick fire, and walk straight through vision to do that, but they've got a stun on Black Goku. Wow, a flash body slam. They might be able to close off on Black Goku here, but KO's got to be careful. He's taking chunks on Decoy. Oh, Q's to secure it. Has to take a turret shot. Now they're trying to get it on Shiny, who's trying to do the damage. Oh, he flashes out. He's going to be fine. That fourth bullet, though, from Jin is deadly. It is a crit. Wow, Bill! No hesitation in and finds it Dolphs. He can't get stunned, but he does. Forced to flash out now as well. Came in to respond, but just a little bit too late there. King 5 putting points on the board. It is kills, it is gold.
This has got to be demoralizing as well. Already, Villains 1 game down. Now they're walking into game 2 with a 2-kill lead to King 5. If you look at the gold, they're already quite ahead in that. And it's for the bottom lane as well, where KO really went off. He's playing a hyper carry on Jinx once again. It's going to be absolutely terrifying what they can do as they move on.
Wow, Shiny's going to have to get back to lane now. Quick, smart, so that he doesn't get too far behind in that CS. And like you said, a little bit demoralizing. He now needs to play a lot more careful, and one of the things Jin loves to do is trade hard early on and bully out his opponent. That option is closed off. He has to bide his time and come back big in the late game, and it's going to be on Dolph to navigate his team through to that point. So we haven't actually talked about this at all, I think, in any of our broadcasts, and it's so important. We always talk about the stages of the game. Roughly, where are they, and how can people figure out where they are? Oh, before that, though, is Shock going to die? No, he's not. He's going to flash out. Stages of the game, Smite.
Sorry, the stages of the game?
Stages of the game. Early game.
Right, so you've got your early game laning phase, which is what we're seeing right now, where everyone's a little bit split up and you've got the junglers moving around the map. Later on, you see mid-game where teams start to leave those lanes and go into a few skirmishes over things like towers or objectives like dragons. And then later on in the game, about 25 minutes even in, you see the late game phase where both teams will be roaming around as 4 or 5 players as a team looking for what we call team fights.
And the reason they do that at that point, the respawn timers get longer and longer as the game goes on. At that late point in the game, if you get a kill on the entire enemy team, they will not be up in time to defend their base, and you can win games off single team fights. It's really down to the wire in those late parts. That is why Villains want to get there and not lose it in the mid game like they did last game against King 5.
Bun already setting them up for a good start in the top lane. He is 10 CS ahead of Raven, and we talked about this going in. We knew he had the advantage just because of his champion matchup. Now Raven, he's going to walk back to lane, which means he's saving that summoner spell Teleport so he can help his team across the other side of the map at a moment's notice.
Good old Herald, the Herald spawning into the map on your screens there. Last game, we actually saw that get handed over to Raven in the top lane. This game, though, is something the Villains could certainly take advantage of with Bun at range form. He is a split-pushing menace, and Dolphs is setting up for the Vision around that. And one more time for the people in the back, Arcadian. Recap us on Vision.
Vision is essentially each team sees the map a little bit differently to what we do. We see everything, but they only see what's directly around their champion. Now, Vision is the art of setting up little vision wards, or think of them as CCTV cameras, where they can see all the different workings of the map. They can see where the jungler is hiding, they can see people moving around, and they can use that to make decisions. Like, on the other side, you've also got the deception of Vision, whereas if you know that you're being bugged or you're being seen, then you can use that to try and deceive the enemy into making bad plays. It's very important and often leads to some of the bigger breaks in these games.
Speaking of, I was just going to say, we saw that on your screens right as you were saying that. Kensti, of course, spotted Bill coming in for that gank, was able to get out quick, smart, fancy feet there, dodged everything, and he's going to live.
And this is what we call the denial of vision as well. As important as it is to keep the vision up for your team, taking it away from the enemy team is just as important, especially the way King 5 want to play. They want to play safely. They want to keep the enemy team away from them, particularly later on in the game. Right now, they're okay with having a few skirmishes, and denying the enemy team vision is going to allow them to do just that.
And now, as we come into a bit of a quiet time, like we said, the Villains, they just want to last out to the later parts of the game. King 5, they're going to bide their time for now, wait until they can get a few more points on the scoreboard for themselves, get some more gold in the pockets, and I don't doubt their plan from here on out is going to be to do what they did last game, find a point of weakness and blow the game wide open. Villains need to not give them that opportunity.
It's what we saw in game 1, everything completely even until 20 minutes roughly, when King 5 just pulled the trigger. They made a call and they went with it, and it was a great big call. We might see them do it again right now. Villains need to be very careful on not having any of their players out of position without teleport. And right now, that's only Bun, so everyone else needs to be listening to the shot calls coming out from Dolphs, and he needs to be making the right ones.
And here it is already pinging out that mid lane. Bill is nearby. Dolphs, he is going to be able to spot out Bill, knows where he is. Dolphs throwing out a Prey Seeker, reveals his own location as well. Swings on by to the mid lane. Is going to get spotted out by a ward, and Dolphs is just biding his time. Villains are, of course, mindful of the fact that King 5's shot calling was really solid last game. Yeah, not going to let it happen to them twice. At least not intentionally.
Maybe not. It is still a 2-kill lead for King 5, and they are still ahead in gold. So all things considered, you could call them winning the game right now. But of course, this game isn't just built off winning the game. You actually have to kill that Nexus. So King 5 just need to keep it up, play consistently, but it's now on Villains to make the calls to try and swing things into their favor.
Oh, this is how they're going to do it. Wow, Kensti got a really interesting position here on Shock. Actually blows his Ghost for this one, but Shock, he's just going to be able to wheel away back to friendly territory, but hold on, Bun Bun's peeling him from the top side, and Bill, he is on his way, but will he be there in time? Because Shock is low, and now he's spotted Bun Bun. He knows how much trouble he's in. Shock is sure to fall. Here's a goner, and that is what Villains need to get them back on the board to help steer them through this mid-game. Now they maybe want to turn this into pressure on the mid lane turret as well, since Bun Bun is all the way down here.
And because Bun Bun was able to push so hard into the top lane turret, leaving Raven pinned against it, he's able to roam down to the middle of the map and start sieging down the middle of the map. But look out, look on the mini-map. King 5 are sending some members up.
Going to get spotted out, and actually the Jhin ultimate is going to zone them here. They want to try and go for a catch. Bun Bun is coming around from the top side. Oh, we get a nice wide angle for that. Little Decoy getting stunned up. Dolphs with the follow-up, the knock-up. Little Decoy running as fast as he can. Has the ultimate just in time. That's caused them to pause. He does drop down, but there might be an answer here as Raven finds Bun Bun against the wall. No, gets stunned back himself. Nice moves by Kensti. Raven and KO, they want to stay on the chase, but they need to respect the Jhin range.
They're getting collapsed on.
They are. Bill's coming in from the side. Oh, Shock has found Kensti. That is a nice response there. The fight goes on too long as King 5 respawn, get kills back on the board for themselves, and now they have positional advantage over this dragon.
Of course, Bill sitting on the outside there. The vision is there. Villains know this is happening, but smartly, they're backing off. They're not looking to steal the dragon. Speaking of this guy, it's what we call an Infernal Drake, and this is going to give them a percentage boost to their damage stats. Villains trying to go for a cheeky steal, but the Smite is able to secure that, and they pick up the Infernal Drake, which is going to boost their team fighting power.
And King 5 on the whole managed to hold on to their gold lead, but you touched upon something very important there, that Infernal Dragon. There are, of course, 4 different kinds of dragon in the game, Arcadian. Why don't you talk to us about those?
Sure thing. So each different dragon randomly spawns and has some different objectives or buffs or benefits to being able to kill it. You've got your Cloud Drake, you've got your Air Drake, you've got your Mountain Drake, and your Infernal. Now those are all the 4 elements. If any of you got Avatar Last Airbender fans out there, and they essentially give you different things. The Infernal Drake, for example, gives you a burn to your attack. It helps it boost your damage stats. There's quite a few of them, so I'm not sure if it'll be a great idea to go through all of them for now. Let's get back into the action.
Yeah, Raven's in a little bit of trouble under here. Where have we seen this one before? We've seen him getting pinned at the start. Oh, goes aggressive on Bun Bun just to stop up that dive. And maybe that'll actually be enough, even with the stun there from Bun Bun. They know that they can't get it. The minions are dead. Raven, very nicely played and kind of wasted Dolph's time.
But at the same time, though, King 5 weren't able to react on the other side of the map. They had people recalling, coming back from their base. You can actually see on the minimap, they're not in their lanes just yet. But it also gives them the comfort to do that. They do need to occasionally go back to base, spend gold, and buy those items to become more powerful and get more kills.
Ooh, Bill showing his face in the mid lane. Actually just threw out his ultimate onto Kensti there. Nothing quite came of it. And speaking of ultimates, Arcadian, very crucial things, those ultimates, but what exactly are they? Oh, can ultimates! Let's talk about fights! Go and come down to the bottom lane. Maybe just a bit of a skirmish, but there was a teleport committed by Bun Bun that was cancelled. That is now on full cooldown. Raven is going to have a bit of a window of opportunity there. But looks like we're back to a breather. Arcadian, ultimates.
Ultimates. Every champion has 4. Oh, we're back into the action.
Oh my goodness, Arcadian, I'm sorry. This game does not want you to talk. And the villains do not want Shock to live. A nice move by Dolph. Bill not there in time. And they knew he didn't have an ultimate either to turn that fight back around. Unfortunate there for Shock.
Is it time? Can we talk about ultimates?
I think it's time.
Are we ready?
All right. Let's do it. Let's commit. Let's commit like Raven's committing onto Bun, but nothing's going to come of this one. Arcadian, you've got yourself some time.
All right, so the ultimate ability, every champion has 4 abilities. 3 of them are your basics, your appetizers, your desserts, your 3 small courses, but then you have 1 ultimate ability. It defines the champion. It's a huge cooldown, so they can only use it once in a very long time, but usually they are much, much more powerful than their classic abilities, and they can change the tides of a fight.
So there you have it, ultimate abilities. They can swing the fight straight into a team's favor. And speaking of favor right now, the gold, it's within 100 gold of each other. Villains and King 5, I feel like they're completely tied. King 5, though, do have 1 dragon, which does set them just a little bit ahead.
Yeah, it gives them just a little bit more team fighting power, potentially, if it comes to that belt. hold on to that for the mid part of this game. Right now, that even up in the gold has come out of that mid lane, just zoning potential, and indeed the kill on Shock has given Kensti a good window to ramp up.
Kensti, like we were saying before the game even started, is one of the star players for Villains. We may talk up Dolphs a lot, but Kensti is one of the powerhouses. He puts out so much damage, plays that mid lane role so well, and usually outperforms his opponent. And you can see it right now. He's got a few assists on his opponent. He's even got a CS lead. That's 20 CS, which might not feel like a lot right now, but there you have it. It's a 300 gold lead. That's a small item to have in the lead right now.
Yeah, and really the only reason that gold is as close as it is because of the one kill Shock has. Now we identified that mid lane as the lane to watch. Never mind that, hold up. What's going on in the top lane now, actually? It's Raven backing away, that's what it is. But we identified the mid lane as the lane to watch. And Bill is already sniffing around that mid lane now to answer up that top lane push. Dolphs is starting to peel down, and we have a real treat because Shock and Kensti have swapped champions since last game. We're really going to see who is best at the end of this. Maybe it's Kensti getting caught out here. Bill going to throw down the extra damage, but Kensti able to get away. Little Decoy is going to try and zone him off on the bottom side. Now and there's going to be the follow-up. They got the stun through. The rocket, it does go wide, but it gets Shiny instead. It's going to force him out of the fight, means he can't close out. Little Decoy, King 5 get 1 for nothing. A nice pickup for them.
And Villains, they're reacting for this on the other side of the map, trying to get Rift Herald, but Raven is there!
Oh, what a sneaky one from Raven! That takes the smite out, which means he wanders in, steals it, kills Bun Bun. Oh, that was just disgusting out of Raven. Super, super clever play there.
And that is King 5 reading the map right now. They could tell what Villains were doing, reacting on the other side of the map, and they went and re-reacted.
If they get this turret, this is going to be a repeat of what we saw last game. It's going to be King 5 just picking their moments, getting the drop on Villains, and just starting to blow the game wide open. We saw Villains just barely even up a 1,000 gold lead a moment ago. Now that gold lead is opened up to 3,000 for King 5. It's going to take a lot more than just CS to close that one for Villains.
And not to mention, Raven picked up the Rift Herald off of that. Now, we talked about it in game 1, but Arcadian, what is the Rift Herald going to do for Raven?
Moreover, why is it important that Raven has it and not Bun Bun?
Well, first of all, to understand the Rift Herald, we need to understand Baron, which is a huge objective. It's essentially a performance enhancer for all the champions. Now, the Rift Herald is its little baby brother. It gives one character that ability, that little buff. But not just him, all the other enemy units around it, like his minions. It's so important for Poppy or Raven, because now when he's on the other side of the map, pushing by himself, he's going to have a much stronger force. He's going to be pushing away. He's going to have his minions stronger, and he's going to be that much harder to stop.
And Bun Bun is someone who wanted that buff just as much as Raven. So Raven not only securing it for himself, but stealing it away from the Villains and killing Bun Bun in the process is massive for King 5, and they're going to start to take advantage of that already as Bill's ultimate blows apart the team. But Little Decoy has got split off from his team here. There wasn't the follow-up from King 5. They weren't ready for it yet. But Bun Bun, oh, he goes down to the Jinx ultimate, the rocket, as Raven finds Shiny threading the needle. And now KO keeps the damage on. Kensti finds Bill on the backside.
KO's going
but it's
big.
not going to be enough because KO's going big. A double kill now. A triple kill for Bill. But not even Bill. It's KO. Shock finds Kensti back, 1 on the board for him. King 5. It's all but 1 dead now for the Villains.
King 5, once again, you said it before, they picked their moment, they struck, and now they're getting objectives and team fights and gold off of all this. They are solidly in the lead against last year's champions in the Hexedome.
And a turret off the back of this as well. That is good news for King 5, and this is what we said. It's not quite one thing that blows the game wide open, but it is 2 things back to back. I would love to see a bit of a replay of that, because it looked like Villains might have had a moment to recuperate there.
So have a look what happens. They think they've caught out Lil Decoy, and by all means, they absolutely have. Bill, though, gets caught out up here. Sorry, not Bill, Bun Bun, actually. Now, Shiny, he tried to use his ultimate, but got caught out of position, and KO was able to completely go off, and Villains were split up, and so they were picked off 1 by 1 after that, and because of that, King 5 took many structures to their advantage.
And it's interesting, Bun Bun did exactly what we always say that NAR players should do. He got in the backline, he used his ultimate, but it turned out the damage was just too much from King 5. Because while Little Decoy was the one being focused down, he's not a carry. Bun Bun, he has the potential to carry a fight. Him being out of the picture by the time the 2 teams met up, Man, already King 5 were favored. Then they caught out Shiny. And now King 5, they look solidly ahead.
Now, Villains, they are not out of this by a long shot. And here we go. They might take it back here.
Yeah, but Lin Zico's going to throw out the ultimate. That's going to stop up Jin's ultimate. That large V you saw on your screen, nothing going to come out of that one just yet. KO's taken some chunks, though, and they need to back off respect to the siege from the Villains here.
Now, before anything happens, I hope maybe I can get a point in, is the fact that Villains, they're not out because Nar, with his ultimate, can bring back teams from the brink of defeat. I've seen it so many times. A team in the NZGC gets greedy, gets overconfident, but hang on, Raven. He's just defending and extending the siege right here. But teams get overconfident and Nar comes in and punishes them. And Villains can do that.
This is giving King 5 crucial time because Villains have been forced to peel off to address the slow push of the minions in the bottom lane. That's also going to give King 5 time to respond to the same thing happening in the top side of the map, and that's also going to be them clearing out and dropping vision around this Baron area.
And speaking of all the vision around the Baron area, Villains, to their credit, despite being behind, have a lot of wards down of their own. And King 5, they're a little bit lacking in that area, but they are moving out. They are putting that vision down right now. And importantly, they're getting deep into enemy territory and even denying the enemy vision. So they've definitely got the right thing on their mind right now. And here he is, old mate Baron Nashor.
Yeah, comes on into the rift. Big Purple Worm, as my good friend Smite likes to call him, and that is going to be a very crucial objective again. Would not be surprised to see King 5 try and take advantage of that. KO pushing down this top turret gives King 5 even more room to maneuver around this Baron.
Now watch out in these tight corridors right now. This is where Bun Bun can shine with his ultimate.
Oh, it absolutely is, but he's a little way away from Mega as Build finds Black Goku. Kenzie as well, low forced to flash out as he eats a rocket to the face. Black Goku as well. They've caught out Bun Bun. What an ultimate from Build to catch that one. Now stunned up against the wall. Before he can even go Mega, he is down, and the ultimate gets cancelled out from Jin. They know that they can't get anything from that one, and now King 5 again with a numerical advantage. Kenzie, he's not going to be able to find one back from this. He's too low. He's low on mana as well, and King 5, even if they don't get this kill, they're definitely setting up for the siege.
It might be one dead, but Kenzie and Black Goku just don't have the HP to come and defend. King 5 are taking advantage of this situation, taking down yet another turret. They're going to move in, deny vision, drop vision of their own, and once again, we might see them go for a really early Baron.
Oh, I think they are going to, because the Jin ultimate is also on cooldown, at least for a little while longer. This is even better. Oh, look at that vision. Dolphs, he doesn't know they're there, and he pays for it with his life. Now this is the numbers advantage they need. King 5, they could have gone for the Baron. It would have been risky. Instead, they made a really smart play there. Totally played Dolphs for a fool, and now they get the Baron.
They might have the numbers down, but Baron counts as a player for their team in this fight, doing damage to them.
Raven, he bumps Black Goku back to base with his ultimate. Kenzie gets knocked up and isolated. Damage off the board for them now as he drops down. KO gets that, sticks on the Baron. They're melting this Purple Worm down. Biller's going to secure it for his team, and with 2 members down for Villains, King 5, they're sure to get out alive, and with that Baron buff.
Last game, we saw King 5 take the Baron really early on, and within a few minutes, they had actually won the game. Are we going to see it again? Villains need to play super carefully right now, rely on their wave clear to keep the turrets alive, and then strike with the Nar ultimate.
Last game, when King 5 got the Baron, they opened up a 7,000 gold lead. This game, they already have an 8,500 gold lead. And now they've only just got the Baron. They've also got the turrets. They've got the pressure. You could bet your bottom dollar. They are looking to close this one out. They do not want to give the Villains any room to breathe here.
And speaking of that 7,000 gold lead, right? It's all on the right players. Shock and KO. Both have 4 and 5 kills respectively. All the gold's going to them, and they are the team's damage dealers. With all the gold there, King 5 can shred the Villains down incredibly quickly. And importantly, they can take down the turrets as well.
This is good looking stuff for King 5. Currently topping the leaderboards. Now looking dominant in this game 2 after a similarly dominant close out to game 1. Already another turret falling beneath this Baron up King 5. What can Villains even do here?
Who knows, but Dolphs, he talked up a huge game. Can he deliver? It doesn't look like it right now.
This is 4 versus 5 this push. Raven's up in the top side.
Honestly, Villains need to pull out a miracle right now. King 5 have everything in their control, but they have to do it now before Raven starts pushing from the top side of the map and threatening another turret. Villains have a time limit here.
I was so hyped for this matchup because I felt these were our 2 strongest teams. We've seen the Villains drop games to Too Easy, who dropped games to Tiger Eye. No one has beaten King 5 in that same fashion. I thought these two teams were even, but I'm starting to think King 5 are just a cut above the rest now. As the Villains look to go for a last-ditch team fight, they get onto Little Decoy with that Jin ultimate only just finished up, and the turnaround ultimate from Shock. Bun goes in, he gets a huge up, and he's cut off from his team, already drops down. The Villains didn't want to follow up. They are not on the same page here, and now their encyclopedia is being torn to shreds. Another double kill for KO. Shiny in full retreat back to the base. The inhibitor to follow. Is this going to be it for King? Are they going to win it?
And now look at this. King 5, their average win time is going to go even further down right now. The Nexus turrets are on the fire. We could have the first team in the final.
King 5, they are punching their ticket straight to the final. They want to claim that throne for themselves, and they've just got one step closer to being absolute royalty. A 2-0 against the Villains.
These guys are champions right now. Villains, of course, the defending champions, but just not coming in strong enough. Dolphs, he talked a massive game talking about 10-minute victories, and honestly, he called the other teams garbage. Well, look at what's happening here right now. The teams are ecstatic. Well, one team is ecstatic because they have booked their tickets to the grand final at the Motat.
That is just fantastic news for King 5. They came in with something to prove, and they proved it right from day one. The Villains, on the other hand, they had nothing to prove, and they've still managed to disappoint. Let's be completely honest here. King 5, what a fantastic performance. And like I said, we have our top 4 now, and we felt there was a lot of evenness between these teams. And we have actually seen King 5 drop just one game to Tiger Eye so far this tournament. That's the only game they've dropped. But after tonight, like I said, a King 5 just maybe a cut above the rest.
There's no question about it. And also, Villains, their reign's over. They've got to come back. They are now, well, to put it to a bit of a metaphor here, they're the peasants now trying to overthrow the kings. Because what is a king to a god? Well, maybe something, but we're not going to see it today, as King 5 just completely dominated last year's champions.
That was a fantastic performance out of King 5. They looked clean, they looked smooth, and they looked one step ahead of the Villains. That's all from us at the desk here. We're going to hand it back to Dwan and the boys to tell us just how devastating a win that was.
Yeah, thanks very much, boys. Massive, massive win for King 5. Not only was it a beatdown, it was quick, it was brutal. King 5 monsters.
Unforgiving. That was such a brutal performance from King 5 there.
Where did it go right for King 5 for you?
Where did it go right? I mean, I think we talk about Villains being the experienced team. Today, King 5 looked like the experienced team. They held it together, they pulled the trigger, they knew how to play, and they did it fantastically.
They did do it fantastic. And at the top, we talked about the fact that there was variation on shot calling. You saw Villains, they had 1 in Dolphs. We saw 3 across the map for King 5. They were just better across the whole rift. And I think that played into the hands of King 5 being so good.
Yeah, they were so crisp with each of their calls. Everyone was on the same page. It's not something that you see with a split shot calling system. Usually, if one person makes the calls, everyone follows it. But it's so interesting to see all of them be on the same page so easily.
Yeah, well, look, from where we sit at the top, we thought it was going to be, a tight match. It didn't unfold that way. But fair play to King 5, fair play to Raven. Let's catch up with him. We'll have a few words with the captain of King 5 in the form of Raven. Raven, come on in. Congratulations. You are going to the grand final at Motat in 2 weeks' time. You've got the easy road. Not only do you have the easy road, but you put it down to everyone else that may come towards you in the final.
Yeah, we're really excited. It's going to be a great experience playing live finals. And just the game, it was like very back and forth. The first game was very intense. Second game, we got it all together. We synchronized our shot calls, and we got into a really good tempo and just forced it at the end.
And just a quick question on that shot calling. We were talking about the fact that you have a split shot calling system. How is it that you can be all on the same page? Is it one person that voices it at the time, or how does it go? I
feel like we just ask a bunch of questions. We all have like separate calls, but then we just like, this is the right one. We ask questions and we just go on for it.
Which is incredibly impressive because, I mean, you know that teams spend thousands of dollars on analysts trying to get someone to be a unified shot caller, and you guys are doing it across 3 people. It's great. You guys are obviously top of the table right now. You're doing fantastic. But to win this whole thing, what do you need to do better?
Well, as you can see from our play styles changed a bit. We've been focusing more on our bot lane, which has been really working out. We've got a tankier top lane, less split pushing, even less damage onto champions. So that's been going well.
Well, mate, congratulations. You've got the easy road to the final of the Idea Collective in 2 weeks. We look forward to seeing you there, as to everyone that is going to be attending. Congratulations to you. You guys put on a monster performance. Congratulations again, and enjoy the evening.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Raven, look, humble is, he's a humble man. And look, I don't know, from the talk at the top, I think I was expecting a bit more to be out there. But look, I think good on him, right?
Yeah, humble as a king could be, really.
Humble as a king could be. Fair call. What about you? You talk about, he talked about it in the matchup being that they sort of change it around the bot lane. They change up a bit. But like you said, they haven't dropped a game since the start. So it's working for them.
Yeah, and it makes it incredibly difficult for other teams to play against them when they're changing their play style so drastically. Between one game, they focus bot lane. They change it to top lane focus and split push. How do you play against that? I love to see that kind of play because it shows how dominant they really are.
Yeah, well, look, they were very, very dominant tonight. 2-0 stomping. Time was quick. They moved forward. I want to talk about Villains, and we talked about the shot calling. Dolph's, I said at the top, I back Villains. I back what Dolph's ability is. He's a great shot caller. I don't know whether he made the right calls tonight across the rift.
Yeah, it seems like there was either a mix of the call or the execution, maybe a bit of both, but it just didn't go well for them when they tried to commit to something, and that was what really punished them. They put resources into something. If it didn't quite work out, King 5 punished on the other end.
Yeah, theoretically, by all means, one shot caller, a unified voice, should be more effective. But it appears that once pressure started being applied, when things started going right, I think Villains really lost the trust of each other, and then they weren't able to execute and act without hesitation. And so it really let them down at the end of the day. Yeah,
well, we have Dolphs waiting in the wings. We'll catch up with him and have a few words. Dolphs, come on in, mate. Hey, you talked about it at the top. You said, obviously, in the pre-match that you didn't know who they were. I'm sure you know who they are now.
Yeah, credit what it's due. Like, they played really well. They played like a team, whereas in contrast with us, we played like a bunch of basically branded monkeys. We just walked around like idiots, just playing no respect to the other team. And I think now they've earned our respect. Like, I think they're pretty good, and we'll see them at finals, and we'll show them how to really play.
So, working on that, how do you think that you can pull your team together so that you can be more synergistic and move forward as a unit?
I think fundamentally, in terms of shot calling, it is a little bit difficult because our actual support is not actually here right now. So when he does come back, he's actually pretty instrumental in like how we move around the map. So instead of being a bunch of branded monkeys, we'll have like someone that's kind of herding them around, telling them where to go properly, so they don't call out and die randomly.
So from that first game, you stayed very even with King 5 for the whole first majority of that game until the last sort of 5 minutes. You're down right now, but you're not out. What do you have to do from a gameplay point of view to come back, win the next match, and meet them again in the finals?
I think, our team has gained a bit of an ego, whereas we haven't really earned it yet. So I think we just need to play to respect other teams. Yeah, we're good, but if we're not going to play like, with respect to the other team and how good they can potentially be as well, then we don't deserve to win.
Well, you talked a big game. It didn't happen tonight, but you can obviously regroup. We'll see you back in here next week. You aren't going home, but you definitely need to regroup. Obviously keep the confidence up, but good luck, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Cheers.
Dolphs, he did give some credit there to the other team, and he had to, right? Like, look, if they're not out, I loved it. I loved the banter beforehand. He was humble. But, look, again, it's still very, very tough for them to bounce back. I think if they do get back to the final, there is going to be some mental scars on the beatdown that they got, right?
Yeah, it's certainly going to be hard to come back into the Hexedome for them.
He got hit with the humble stick, and you can see it right there. But they're very good still, and they've proven themselves. And if anyone can come back into the final with that experience that they've got, it's going to be the Villains. And so I have faith that they can recover, that they're going to come back, do well next week, and then they're going to have a reason to come back firing.
Well, that's right. So King 5 goes straight to the grand final at the Idea Collective at Motat. Are you going to be there? Villains have the chance to come also, but we shall see. Here is exactly how you can get your tickets and join the action in a couple of weeks' time.
Esports is even better live. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final is your chance to really experience the excitement of esports live. Wednesday, October 12, all roads lead to Motad and the Idea Collective to see who will be crowned champions. Tickets are on sale now at eventbrite.co.nz. Use the keyword NZGC. The NZGC League of Legends Premiership Grand Final. You've just got to be there live. Get your tickets now at eventbrite.co.nz.
We certainly know one team is headed to the grand final. Hopefully a few of you out there want to join us there. And next week coming up, we're going to see 2 more teams go hard, and it's going to be in the form of another sudden death eliminator in the form of Tiger Eye up against Too Easy. One will go home and the other one will come head to head against the Villains back here in the Hexedome at 7 p.m. on Sky Sport 3. But again, all the tickets are available and they're selling out quickly at the Idea Collective on October the 12th. There it is, guys. Look, that's exactly what it's going to look like. We see King 5 go directly on the easy route straight to the live final in 2 weeks' time. Villains aren't out of it. They did get a beating tonight, but still they will get to come back here and face off against either Tiger Eye or Too Easy. For you guys, can Villains get it done?
Absolutely. You can really look at some of the fundamental problems that happened today and be able to try and fix them, go over those videos, sit down as a team and have a general team talk. It comes to being a team at the end of the day. He's saying they're walking around as individuals. That's what's going to make the difference.
Yeah. I think you either win or you learn. And this was a fantastic opportunity for Villains to learn. If they went into the potential next match with this, they were so lucky they had a get out of jail free card today. And they're still alive. They've learned. They've taken their ego into account and they're going to come back better. And that's a dangerous thing, being the Villains coming back better.
That's exactly it. But look, we've got to give all the credit to King 5. They came in the Hexedome. They won 2-0 against number 2 seed, last year's reigning champions. Fair play to King 5. They get the easy road. They get to chill, hang out and wait to see who they play. And they definitely deserved it. So for everybody at home, make sure you hang in there with us in the NZGC because it is the business end of the tournament. We love having you on board. We love showing you esports or competitive video gaming, and you are in for a treat. But we'll be back next Wednesday at 7 p.m. in the Hexedome on Sky Sport 3, and hopefully you will join me and the boys then. Till then, good night from us here at Sky Sport.
The NZGC is a production of Let's Play Live and brought to you by Logitech G, Twitch, Playtech, Adina Hotel, and all our fantastic technology and media partners.